I don't know if anybody else heard that, but I got an audio reminder it was being recorded. I wonder if that'll be on the recording. My name is Alan, and today I'm facilitating the, I want to say third, but it might be fourth. I'm beginning to lose track. It's been a busy week, one way or another. Of The Between. This is a soon-to-be-released PBTA game of gothic horror set in, I place it 1890s in London. By Jason Cordova. If you want to get this game, you will, in the short term, need to join the Gauntlet RPG Community's Patreon, because it will be, I understand, released in the coming months' Codex zine. If you don't know about the Gauntlet, please search Gauntlet-RPG, as you will find all about our online gaming community there. I won't say any more about that, apart from I should mention at the last weekend in June, we have another Gauntlet open gaming weekend where people can come and try playing with us for free. You can always play with us for free. It's just that if you're a Patreon member, you get you get priority access to our games. But please look up Gauntlet-RPG, come and find us, come and play with us. It's a great place to play online role-playing games. So this is a game about horror. We are playing with a set of safety tools. We're playing with the X card. We're playing with lines and veils. We're playing with an open door, and we are playing within the Gauntlet community's code of conduct. All of these players are regulars with the Gauntlet, so I don't need to go into any more detail for them. But again, if you look up one of my earlier sessions, you will find a fuller description of those safety tools, which we feel we make good use of here. I will finish by saying that my pronouns are he, him, and then I will ask the players to say hello and introduce us to their characters. So, Stephen, tell us about your pronouns and tell us a little bit about the angel, Constance O'Neill.
Well, hey there, I'm Stephen, he, him, and
you might want to pull your mic down.
Oh, is it set to the wrong one? Sorry about that. It should actually be set to not that mic. No, huh?
Okay, it could be fine. It just doesn't sound like I remember, I guess I would say.
Okay.
It's acceptable, just not what I remember. So
I think you may simply have been leaning further back, Stephen, so you're maybe further away from that mic.
All right. Yeah. Hey there, I'm Stephen, he, him, and I'm playing Constance the Angel O'Neill, the American. Last time we saw Constance, she got into a gunfight with the bounty hunters sent to bring her back to her family. I am affected by the quickening curse that will one day be my downfall, but until then I'm hunting ghosts in London with this bunch of weirdos, I suppose.
And an odd bunch they are indeed. Let's move along. Donna, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Mr. Moore.
Yeah, I'm Donna. My pronouns are he, him. I'm playing Moore the Factotum, who is whatever passes for normal or Joe Average in this group, serving Henson Rude the vessel. Yeah, I think we're slowly beginning to peel back the history on Moore. But yeah, a button-down manservant with hidden depths, I guess, is how we're pitching him right now.
Yeah, that seems to work for me. Last time, bitten by what may or may not have been a vampire, and then cured by employer Hens Unruh, who is our fourth character, and fingers crossed will be joining us before we get much further in. Moving along, Greg, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Dr. Marta Weiss.
Yep, I'm Greg, he, him, and I'll be playing Marta Weiss. And she is the mother. Essentially, she's some sort of highly credentialed scientific academic person that is attempting to recreate a small being, create a small being inspired by her young cousin who died when they were very young, and was a close relationship for her.
Yeah, in effect, Marta Weiss is Frankenstein and is building a body in a lab. We have yet to see the lab. I am quite looking forward at some point to seeing the lab. We've seen body parts being collected, but we've yet to see what the lab looks like. And our fourth player, I will wait to introduce when they arrive. So last time on the Between, we left Angel O'Neill in bed in Hargrave House, recovering from being wounded in the gunfight. The Pinkerton was also wounded, and I am kind of taking off the board until such time as I think it's reasonable that they would be recovered too. But because Constance is a player character and a main protagonist, it is possible that we'll see her a bit sharper. While she was resting abed, Marta Weiss ventured to North London in search of one of the victims, supposed victims of the creature of Cremorne Gardens, this reported to be half human, half reptile or fish, I think, creature that has been stalking, so the newspapers say, a pleasure garden in Chelsea on the bank of the Thames. And won the trust of Miss, I want to say Beulah Thrum, I think, is the person we're talking about. Yes, who was the young person who was reportedly attacked. And you've examined the scar, the wound from this attack, Marta. But we finished with there being a commotion outside the sitting room where you were examining Miss Thrum, and she has confided that she believes that to be, I've doubled up Beulah Thrum, that's why I'm being confused, by Simon Piedmont, the young man who was accompanying her at Cremorne Gardens when this incident occurred. You've got her view of events, you've yet to talk to Simon. Meanwhile, we left Mr. Moore and his employer in Limehouse, where they had separately and then together been trying to work out what was going on in relation to the Limehouse lurker. I think that might be where I start very briefly, because our fourth player is not yet with us. What I'm going to start with is Moore. I'm going to see you just helping Hens Unruh into a cab, a hackney cab, and that hackney cab disappearing from outside the Limehouse workhouse, or the so-called Limehouse school. And we'll worry about where Hens has gone when Hens arrives. So Moore, you finished last time with one of your contacts, one of the Hargrave House informals, one Elsie Willow, a local prostitute, helping you get the trust of a bunch of feral children, street children in Limehouse, who were able to show you, I think, a patch of dried blood.
Yeah. The clue says a pool of half coagulated blood in a dark subterranean place.
Exactly. And they show you this because they found some sweets in the vicinity, just scattered in the mud of an alleyway, and then noticed this half-congealed blood dripping into a basement. So that's where we left you. What do you want to do with that information, if anything, Mr. Moore?
I think I shall direct the children to keep an eye out for any such bait or lures, if I'm jumping to conclusions at what the sweets are for, and maybe to note where they were left, and to bring back word to us at Hargrave House.
Well, I mean, do you want to formalize that with trying to find out where they got the sweets from?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think my next point was to make a visit to that subterranean place.
Okay, I'll come back to you in a moment.
Yeah.
Marta, we left you hearing a commotion in the hall outside as Miss Thrum's maid, or the maid of all works of the house, appeared to be seeking to deter Mr. Simon Piedmont from getting further into the house. It seems that he has blustered his way through the front door, and there is now an argument in the hall. What are you going to do about that, if anything?
Yeah. Yeah. So let me see. Reference. Yeah. What I'm going to want to do is insert myself into that. You know, kind of walk in. You know, kind of calmly walk in, and you know. Well, okay. I think I've talked to what's her name again? Beulah. I think I've kind of talked to her. I was on my way out when I heard the argument, so I'll use that to walk out into the room and kind of announce myself as Marta Weiss and how I am investigating what happened at Creemore Gardens.
Do you leave the door to the sitting room behind you open, or do you close it as you leave with Beulah in the sitting room? Do you want her to see or hear the conversation you're about to have, or not?
Gotcha. Yes. Yeah. I'll leave it open. Yeah.
Fine. So Simon's attention is immediately drawn to the open door, and he goes to go past you, to barge past you to get into that room. What do you do?
I will actually I will let him barge past to see what he does, and you know, kind of observe, and yeah.
And it's clear that all he wanted to do was, he says to Mary, the maid, all I wanted to see was Miss Thrum, and it's as though he doesn't even see you, Marta, as he just brushes past you very rudely into the room, and begins in a slightly elevated tone of voice to say, Beulah, this is ridiculous. You cannot mean it.
Yeah, I'll come back in, and I'm sorry. I'll be yeah, I'll mention. I'll go Beulah or Miss Thrum. Is this man bothering you? I'm sorry for inadvertently letting him in. Do you need some assistance here?
I think let's go to the day move to determine exactly how this goes then, Marta. The day move requires me to ask you to name what you're afraid will happen if you fail or lose your nerve or lose control of the situation.
What will happen? If I lose control of the situation, so I'm kind of thinking about myself, not necessarily about myself, but the maid did not want Simon to get in, and it could be Miss Thrum didn't want him to get in, and maybe he's dangerous, right? Maybe he's a wild card. He might injure somebody.
Okay, so the worst thing that could happen is or what you're afraid will happen is that this could turn to violence. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Then how are you trying to, what do we hear you saying? Because you've asked her the question, but if you're afraid this is going to turn to violence, how do we see you seeking to avoid that outcome?
Yeah, so I guess presence.
That would seem not unreasonable to me, that you try to put some, is this some stamp of authority or charm?
Exactly. Yeah. It's a stamp of authority of trying, of the, of a person who doesn't allow things to get crazy around them.
Yeah, and an older woman, respectably dressed, all of that. Yeah, fine.
Mm-hmm.
So let's have you roll with presence, which is +1. I am
All
wondering
right.
if we'll get any high numbers this week.
Let's see. Oh, 7 + 1, that's an 8.
Okay, so on a 7 to 9, the keeper will tell you how your actions could leave you vulnerable, and you can choose to back down or go through with it. I think that this could mean that you are asked to leave.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Do you want to go through with it or back down?
Let's let me think here. Yeah, let's go through with it.
Okay, so I think that is what happens. I think that Beulah looks past you to Mary and is clearly embarrassed that you are witnessing all of this, and says to Mary, Mary, would you see the doctor out, please?
All right, let's see. Well, how about can I waive my let's see, I have my credentials, right? Oh, I already used my credentials. That's no good.
You can always put on a mask for a different future to unravel in front of you.
Okay, so it's not too late. Yeah.
No.
Okay, yeah. I will do, let's see. Whoa, okay, I guess I'm doing Mask of the Past. Narrate a time you had a terrible fight with the person you lost. And what we'll do is Marta is in a forest with Hilda. And you know, I think they're kind of like, you know, 10, 9, 10, or 9 or 8 is what they are. And let's see. So yeah, she gets in a fight with Hilda, and it's over some we'll say it's over some doll that it was we'll say it was like, you know, I was taunting her about the doll because I wanted it, and invariably I accidentally dropped it like down a ditch where it couldn't get gotten, and that really upset her. And as a kid, I didn't apologize. I was too embarrassed, and so yeah.
Okay, I like that.
You know what? I kind of have the image of like actually like throwing it down to the ground and it breaks into parts. And there's then that like parallel to like Marta working on the like sewing parts together on the
I like that. I like that. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
When we threw it down, you know, she dropped it down a ditch and it just shattered. Yeah.
Because at the time, all the fine parts will have been made probably from China.
Mm-hmm.
So that turns it into a 10 plus. You do what you intended and you hold steady. Describe what it looks like. So at the point where Beulah is saying, Mary, see the doctor out, what do you say that puts you back in control here?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. What I'll do is I'll announce to Simon. Well, I guess I already announced that I was investigating. And I'll basically say that, you know, they, you know, for the sake of them and others, you know, they almost died. Do they want to let this happen again?
And all the bluster goes out of Simon. And let's cut to Constance. Constance, I'm seeing you coming downstairs. Your arm is it's not your shooting hand. I can't remember if you're right or left-handed, but your off arm is in a sling where the Pinkerton winged you. And there is a note from Moore explaining that he and Hence Unruh have headed to Limehouse, having been told of a possible, they believe to be a vampire, stalking Limehouse, and in particular, the focused on the opium den of, and she is in the threats, Jenny Johnson, alias Chen Bao, a community leader in the Limehouse Chinese community. What do you want to do, Angel? Or are you more interested in Cremorne Gardens, where you got shot? You're muted, Stephen.
No, I think that if Moore is Gordon, their master down to this whatchamacallit, opium den, I feel as if I'd be remiss in not going down myself and making certain that folks did not the folks were not all right there.
Okay, so you're on your way to Limehouse. Limehouse is down towards the river, but its nearest waterway is a canal where coal is delivered into London in vast quantities. Do you want to head for the opium den, or are you more interested in taking the air around Limehouse?
I think I investigate the den, yeah.
Let's take you to the den. So, where are we? Jenny Johnson's opium den. Yes, a basement off an alley, dim and smoky, a heavy ammonia-like smell in the air, people lounging on cushions and pallets scattered around a basement where curtains hang, obscuring what's beyond them, flickering of open gas flames, cast an odd illumination. Sometimes that illumination is colored because of the color of the gauze curtains separating off these little cubby holes where people lie under the influence of opium. People from all walks of life patronize Jenny Johnson's. What do you see that indicates this, Constance?
Well, I think it's that yeah, I suppose it's that we kind of see sprawl through in each of the kind of private nooks, a mixture of like folks in various levels of fanciness of clothing wise, sprawled out in their stupor and whatnot.
And I think as you go in first, there might be kind of stacked bunks with 2 or 3 people who don't pay very much. And as you go deeper in, it gets slightly better off. And then people in satin or with clearly expensive pocket watches or whatever else. And what do you do when you get in here? The scent of this stuff is strangely alluring.
Well, that is a question. I think I kind of eye around. Is there anyone that looks like they're an attendant here rather than someone partaken in this lovely vice?
Yes, I think probably it's Jenny Johnson herself or Chen Bao. And you know, she is. I think there's a description on the threat tab. Pretty but favorite, dark taffeta gown, and she comes to you, and she knew of Hargrave House. She knows enough about Hargrave House to have come to the house itself with her concerns, and she is relieved to see you, and assumes that you want to see the bodies.
Well, of course, Miss Johnson. Pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm Constance O'Neill.
And she curtsies politely to you and
yeah,
says,
I take off my hat and tip it.
And she says, I have the bodies in the basement. If you want to come and look at them.
Yeah. I suppose I should take a look at that. When I wasn't there for. Were you talking to a rather stuffy butler fella?
And she says, "Oh yes, Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore is well respected in Limehouse, and he introduced me to some of the other people that he serves."
Oh, are you an acquaintance of Mr. Moore? I always wondered about him. Do you have any stories about old Moore?
Oh, in my business, Miss O'Neill, discretion is of the utmost value. Please come this way.
Well, all right, but I'm gonna get a story out of you before I leave, so you'll mark me that.
And she will take you to the back of the basement and descend into a sub-basement. As you turn into that darkness, we cut straight back to Moore, as Moore descends into the basement space, where there was a grating, and the street urchins were able to reach through the grating to get to these suites. So I'm assuming that you are descending to where those suites were, Moore.
Yeah, absolutely. You know.
And what is your intent?
To see what kind of trouble I can get into. Obviously, I mean, you know,
why should one bite?
In my mind, of course, I'm wondering if I can follow tracks and find a way to this lair while daylight still rules.
Oh, indeed. And yes, I mean, they can show you the boarded up door that they believe goes down into this basement space. And the boarded up door is ajar, and so you don't need to break in. You can just push it open and descend into the darkness. Oh, here is our fourth player. So I will just admit Mendel and then come back to you. There we go. So yes, Moore, we see you going downstairs. There is, you know, you are lit from behind. And I think the shot we get is of you in silhouette, appearing to come out of the light and head down into the darkness. What do you do when you get down into this space, Moore? There is some light coming in from the grating as well, remember?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if I have an oil lamp or maybe one of these newfangled battery-powered torchlights.
I think it's much more dramatically important that you are using matches.
Okay.
To illuminate this, so we get a very kind of eerie light on you and on the surroundings. But it sounds like are you searching for anything of interest?
Yeah, I think I'm looking for tracks, you know, because down here there's going to be a lot of muddy or water or detritus that someone might leave a trail through. So
okay. Then let's cut straight to the information move then, which sounds like reason, to be honest. It sounds like you're kind of just trying to carefully look, or
okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good to me.
So let's have you roll with reason.
Okay, so that is a 12.
Will you look at that? So on a 12, my goodness me. So on a hit, you find a clue. And I think the clue I will give you is a wooden toy Viking ship. Let me put it in the sheet. A wooden toy Viking ship, lost or discarded. Let's put it in the threat. Limehouse lurker. Here we go. There we are. That is what you find in this space. It does not look as though it is inhabited, or at least not regularly so. Okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
At which point, I think I will cut to Hence Unruh. Mendel, hello.
Yes, hello.
Because we weren't certain when you were going to get here, we opened with Moore putting you in a cab and you driving away to either a different part of Limehouse or somewhere else. So my opening is going to be, where is Hence Unruh heading, or what was Hence's intent?
Okay.
Sorry to drop you straight in the deep end there.
Yep, got it. Okay.
I mean,
so,
do you want a minute to think about it? And then I'll come back round.
Is it still day?
It is still day.
Okay. All right. Then I'm probably going to be heading to I'm going to be heading to see if I can find an architectural diagram of the workhouse. Okay.
So we see Hence Unruh stepping out of the cab I'm assuming that London City Hall was on the banks of the Thames, where it was when I were a lad. So let's have you step out in front of a local municipal building in search of architectural drawings. Do you want to describe to our thousands of viewers what we see of Hence Unruh as they step from the cab?
All right. So Hence strikes an odd silhouette as they get out of the cab. Their legs are long, and the first thing comes out is these high-strung red stringed boots that seem to go almost above the knee, and then the rest of them sort of pulls out of the cab in a more ungainly way, with a sort of a squat, round torso, and a large top hat with a purple ribbon stringing behind. From underneath the brim of that hat glares Hence's sinister eye, the larger left eye, that seems to peer through people more so than at them. And with that sort of long clopping gait, we'll head towards the appropriate door of the municipal building.
Fine. There to find architectural drawings, if they exist, they should exist, of the local workhouse. Let me cut to Marta back in the room with the, well, I want to say young lovers, but it sounds like formerly young lovers, given the tiff that you have just headed off. So, what do you do, Marta?
Okay. So I think I'm there, and I have the floor, sort of deal.
You do.
Yeah, and so I'll say, yeah, Mr. Excuse me. Simon, what's Simon's last? Oh, Piedmont. I'll be Mr. Piedmont. I was just talking with Miss Thrum about your encounter at the gardens, and I'd like to hear your account as well. And actually, I'm going to ask if we could step and talk privately.
I think there is something of a relief from Beulah that you have intervened, and he seems willing to step into the hall with you.
Okay.
So you step out of the sitting room, close the door behind you, and he, I mean, it says in the description, fresh-faced, smells of lavender, a slightly grandiose manner of speech, and he is more than happy to discuss his experience with the creature. And he says, Dr. Weiss, it was extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. When it leapt at my Beulah, I will admit that I felt fear. But then it was as if some primal force overtook me. And I felt something ancient, something potent stir within me. A primal, a way I have never felt before. And at that moment, I was one with my ancestors, protecting their flock from the wolf. I was one with the flock being defended from the Assyrian as they descended like a wolf upon the fold. I was empowered, and I had no choice but to fight and see it off, you see. Now, I will remind you, this is a very different account than you got from her. I'll remind you, in the bones of hers was that she mostly remembered being scared for Simon. He was completely shocked and color drained from his face entirely. I managed to wrench myself free from the thing's grip and shake Simon out of his stupor, and then we ran.
Okay. I'll say, wow, that's quite admirable. Miss Thrum would be so lucky to have such a brave young defender.
And that, my dear doctor, is why I am concerned that about what has happened since.
Yeah, I noticed there was some trouble there. What? Maybe I could help. Alleviate things. What's happened between you?
I think I need the information move for you now.
All right.
And I can go with reason or composure, I think.
Yeah, we'll do composure. They're both the same, so. 10 plus 1, 11.
Oh, and I have just remembered, Moore, I owe you a 12 plus. Don't let me forget that you got a 12 plus on that roll. This is 11, not 12. That's what reminded me.
You can make it 12. I'm fine with that.
You can live with that. Then he will reach into his pocket and produce a letter. And it is a brief, a note, not a letter. It is a note breaking a relationship.
And I guess this is from Miss Thrum.
I mean, the clue will be vague, so you can make use of it any way you want.
Let me see something.
The reason they were fighting was because it was a relationship not with Miss Thrum.
Yeah, well, what I'm thinking is she's accusing him of gambling and associating with women of ill repute.
Well, avoid adding detail to it, because of course, as a clue, you may want to embellish it to fit with solutions, answering questions.
Okay.
So I'm going to leave it as a note breaking a relationship.
Okay.
I have to say the most obvious issue here is that their accounts are so very different, and maybe she's having second thoughts about it, but I shouldn't be doing that either. So let me go back to Mr. Moore, because as you continue to look around this basement space, what can I give you? Because you are due, as well as that clue, you are due a mastermind clue. And I am going to give you, you are going to find something else down there. You are going to find, a gift box. Tied up with sapphire blue ribbon. Does it contain, you pick, something sweet, something expensive, something bloody, something shocking, something else? You don't have to say which, you can just choose which of those, because it's a clue you can then embellish later.
I think it'll be something shocking.
And what, I mean, the way we're going to put this on screen is you're going to find this box in a corner, and it is pristine. It is a lovely gift box tied up with this very sapphire blue ribbon. And I think we'll see more undo the ribbon and look inside. How does the audience, because we're not going to see inside the box yet, how does the audience know that this is shocking?
I mean, I think we see, I think we just see Moore's nostrils flare almost in anger.
Okay.
Before he kind of very brusquely snaps the lid back on the box and secretes it into a pocket.
And I will remind you so far that the 3 mastermind clues are a sapphire visiting card in the name of T. Braithwaite, a sapphire blue invitation to a party to you lot delivered to Hargrave Hall at Braithwaite Hall 3 nights hence. That's now 2 nights hence, I think. And this gift box tied with sapphire blue ribbon containing something shocking. And I am going to reveal something, I think, about T. Braithwaite. Moore, you know T. Braithwaite to be Theodora Braithwaite. You know that she is a middle-aged Black woman of immense power and wealth. Okay, I'll just tell you that for now. But I do have some other things to tell you, maybe, I don't know, or to tell you collectively at some appropriate point. Angel, let's cut to you. Downstairs, I think we have 4 bodies. I will check this. 3 people have been found dead in recent days. The bodies completely exsanguinated, she told everyone at Hargrave House earlier today. The first was a prostitute called Soft Jimmy, found in a dark corner of the opium den. The second was a young mother, Charla Bell, found in an alleyway behind the Limehouse School. And the Limehouse School is the thing that Hens is looking for plans to. And the third was a Chinese sailor, Zhao Dong Hai, found outside a pub near the Regent's Canal dock. The pub is the Dog and Whistle. She has been keeping the bodies in her basement. She's hesitant to go to the authorities, like Scotland Yard, because she fears it will cause trouble for the small but thriving Chinese immigrant community in the district. She has heard of Hargrave House and that you have experience with these things and knew of Mr. Moore, and that is why she came to the house. So, Constance, there are 3 pallets on the ground. Clearly, she stores extra bedding and stuff down here, or bedding that maybe has gone beyond what can be used upstairs. And laid out are 3 bodies, each covered by a sheet. What, if anything, do you do, Constance?
Well, I suppose I take a look. I kind of peek under one of them and start to. I think I pulled off the sheet off whichever one is closest, and take a look at a body because I have a certain familiarity with ways ways folks can come to a violent ends.
Okay. Let's assume that it's Soft Jimmy, the young prostitute. And you examine the body, I guess, with an information move.
Yeah, yeah.
I think this is reason, because it is about studying this body and seeing if it, if anything, leaps out at you.
And do we have the?
Yeah, it's in the info tab.
Oh, the info tab. Okay. I see. All right, that's a 7.
Okay, so on a 7 to 9, there's a complication, either the clue itself or the complication you encounter while searching. Okay, so the clue I think is not from the body, but it is from Jenny, who says that this young man had a reputation for behaving unkindly towards children. So stories of a victim behaving unkindly towards children is what I will put in the threat sheet. She says that she thinks that this was really with perhaps even good intent, in as much as he always tried to discourage children from following his line of business. Okay? But I'm afraid in terms of the body itself, I don't think you have the kind of expertise that's going to show you anything about that. Okay?
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
And then we will cut to Hence. And Hence, just paint the scene for me. What tells us that this is a part of this local town hall that is not regularly used or not regularly referred to?
I think that as I get into the, I think that I will go through a series of short vignettes where I'm directed to yet another desk that is each time smaller and more, has a clerk behind it who is more shabbily dressed, until I get to a desk that is unoccupied, and in fact does not appear to have been occupied much at all recently, and beyond which is a series of tightly packed shelves that seem to contain the records I need. And so with a sort of glance around, I will peruse the shelves myself.
And we see you pulling out a long kind of tubular wrapped up plan and smoothing it out. And this is indeed the blueprints, the plans, the building plans for the Limehouse school, the Limehouse workhouse. Mm-hmm. And we see you studying it?
Yes. I mean, I have a familiarity with, shall we say, geometric structures. So I'm looking for something that stands out, something that would make this an epicenter for the occult.
Okay, so are you attuning yourself to the ether, the other world,
Mhm.
the places beyond the places we see, or are you studying it?
Oh, I'm probably, you know what, I am probably attempting to attune myself. You know, I might even take out a like a pocket watch and sort of use that as a pendulum, to sort of like guide me as to where I should be looking in this area.
Fine. So we see you just twirling the watch over this, and then you roll the information move, I think,
All
with sensitivity. So you are rolling at +2. What are we looking at? You are muted, Mendel. I don't know if you're speaking to us.
That's a 13. So.
Oh my, a 13 yet. Okay. Well, let me tell you then that as you move, that you just twirl the pocket watch over this, it begins to diverge towards one corner of the map, of one corner of this big blueprint, and you follow it, and it ends up spinning, forming a circle around. In the corner of most of these plans will have been somewhere where the maker of the plans will have embellished in some way, perhaps with a carefully engraved signature or something else. And what we find here is an etching depicting the sons of another world, because what looks something like an etching of the Earth clearly has 3 suns. I shouldn't add that detail. An etching depicting the sons of another world in the corner of this plan is the clue that you will get. On a 12 plus, you will also I don't think I have a reasonable mastermind clue to give you at this point. So you are owed a mastermind clue. Nudge me in another 30 minutes if I haven't used it. I'm just struggling to see how I can get that mastermind clue into this location. I am conscious as we come to that conclusion that it is 3 minutes to the hour, and I am trying desperately not to lose track of the time this week. So can I suggest we take our first break now, and we're back in our seats at 5 past the hour? Okay, I'll see you then.
Sounds good.
We're back from our break. And hence, I have actually thought what happens as you leave, having examined the plans. The clerk, this wizened old chap in slightly scruffy clothing, looks up and says, "Oh," and he looks at you and he's uncertain. He says, "Sir, I mean, madam, I mean, could you sign the book, please? All those people consulting the references must sign in the book." And he's got this big ledger and he opens it. And he hands you the quill pen next to the ink pot, and swings it around to face you and asks you, "Just sign in, just there, please." And
of course.
And the mastermind clue I'm going to give you is that a week earlier, there is a signature in the book recording who has examined plans at Town Hall in Limehouse in blue ink rather than the black ink that you are using, is the name Theodora Braithwaite. Okay? So Theodora Braithwaite is your fourth mastermind clue, which you are notching up at some pace now. Let's cut to Marta. Marta, what are you've got what I think you're going to get from Simon. And Simon ends by saying, Doctor, is there anything you can suggest in terms of how I best approach my beloved Beulah? Oh, you are muted.
So I read the note, and without going into details, I would say it's not how you approach her, it's what you do when she's not around that you need to improve on, and kind of give him a very judgmental glare.
Okay. And he says, you mean that I should perhaps leave and then do something to impress her that she might find out about?
Yeah, and I'll say, how about you less on the drinky and less on the whoring?
And he looks completely shocked that a respectable lady such as you would bring this to him. And that is the bemused look on his face as you see him out the door. Are you intending to stay here, Marta?
I think if I could, I want to talk to Miss Thrum one last time.
Okay, and then you see him out the front door and go back to the sitting room. More, we left you in a basement in Limehouse. What are your plans?
I mean, I suspect, as a group, do we think maybe we want to get together and compare notes? And maybe I acknowledge it's getting a little bit late to be nosing around in the sewers or that, and make a return back to the house. I think maybe I have a few chores to catch up on too before everyone else arrives.
I'm sure that's the case, because as far as we know, you are the only servant. Quite how Hargrave House functions is a mystery, but an arcane mystery, so that's fine. I find myself thinking of, I don't know if any of you know the Rivers of London books, but there is a house there that seems to operate with only one very odd servant. I'm inclined to agree with you that maybe we are approaching dusk. So I will take one quick round. We know Marta wants a brief word with Beulah Thrum. Angel, what about you? Anything before returning for supper? Oh, you are muted.
I mean, I was serious about getting as much gossip on Mr. Moore as I could before heading back to the house.
Let's have you see if you can. What approach? It sounded like you were trying to charm it out of Jenny.
I mean that's the general gist of it.
Let's treat this a day move then. What are you afraid will happen if this doesn't go well?
Oh well, I'm afraid I'll offend the lady.
I think that's fair. So let's have you roll with presence, I think. Deploying all your charm.
All right, that is a 3.
Oh, a whole 3.
Yeah.
Gee whiz. You notice that while Jenny appears very reasonable, she doesn't succeed at running an opium den without some assistance. And 3 very rough-looking gentlemen emerge out from among those kind of drapes and gauze hangings at the point where you were asking this question, and she says very firmly, Miss O'Neill, I have told you once that discretion is my watchword.
I mean, I
Please.
want this. I want this. This gossip on Moore. So I'm gonna mark a mask of the past.
Okay. Then what does the nest mask ask you to do?
Narrate a flashback to your young adulthood that shows the incident that made you start to resent, even despise your parents. I think that yeah, I suppose it's actually because of what we've established with some of the stuff in my past. It's that my father has my mother sent to the sanitarium because of clearly she's suffering from delusions of seeing of this dead child, and she can't care for herself, and I think that I never really forgive him for that. I don't really forgive my mother for other things, but I don't forgive my father for that, at least.
And I think perhaps I'd like to embellish that slightly by, as she is manhandled out of this rather grand New York house,
Yeah.
by a couple of attendants towards, those little box-like carriages with a barred back window. She comes past you, and she manages to free a hand and grab you and drag you in close. And she says, Constance, what he does to me, one day he will do to you. He will do it to you too. And then she's dragged away. And I like that. I think that's beginning to show why you go wherever you end up going, and what happens to you ends up happening. So on a 7 to 9, therefore, we get to, I tell you a complication, how your actions would leave you vulnerable. Okay, I will tell you that you can get a secret, but you will be at disadvantage in your dealing with the Chinese community in Limehouse as a result.
Oh yeah, this is all worth it. I mean,
Okay.
We do know that Moore has these unsent love letters in his inventory.
I'm going to go to Moore and ask Moore to tell us, because it mustn't be a mask. It has to be something perhaps between the masks, or something that would be juicy, but not necessarily mechanically valuable more. So what does Jenny end up telling Angel?
I wonder if Moore, when he was kind of kicked out of the Limehouse school, but before he was old enough to enlist, worked for Madame Bao.
Oh.
In the usual regard, a bit of thuggery, a bit of runner, a bit of smuggling, that kind of stuff. The usual knick-knack jobs that need doing at an establishment like this. And yeah, I think, maybe it's in the way she denies that she's going to tell Constance anything. So it's like, if Moore were here, or maybe she uses a first name, which we don't hear. But if Moore were still here, you'd be out on your ear on the street, kind of thing, right? So she lets slip a secret in the act of denying it.
See, not even I hear it. It's just a blank void when she says it.
Can I suggest that maybe this establishment was run by her mother before her, because that would establish Moore and Jenny as nearer contemporaries.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Which I think
I wasn't sure what age she was.
Yeah, well, I mean, Moore is exactly how old is Moore? As old as the hills, and yet as young as fresh water. So let's then go to Moore himself. Moore, we see you going back to Hargrave House. Hence, is there anything else you want to do, or do we see Moore greeting you at the house?
Yeah, I think that greeting, probably greeting him at the house is fine.
Fine. Yes. And so, Marta, you wanted one last word with
no, actually, we'll skip that. I was kind of interested in more details about breaking the relationship, but I think that's not the point, right? So, yeah, right. She'll head back. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is difficult in this, and I find in Brindlewood as well, not to do the obvious investigative RPG thing, which is to see a clue and seek to burrow into it.
Yeah.
So let us instead move us on from day to dusk. I'm trying to remember to change that, so I now select dusk in my sheet. Resolve any playbook moves or custom moves that are resolved during the dusk phase. Does anybody have a dusk phase move?
Yes.
So do tell us about that, Marta.
Yeah, so I'm going to send the Resurrectionist out again to get more body parts. And I think there was some complication where I can't, or something about the blowback.
Yeah, I think that you successfully diffused, or actually Moore might have successfully diffused D.I. Pettigrew. I can't quite remember, but you that blowback is still in place. It's deferred, not done with. So you cannot select. You'll face no blowback.
So yeah, I'll keep the first two as I did before.
So they will
get a body part, get a valuable.
Okay, fine. So body part and valuable. I think Marta has discovered that this is a way to restock her personal quarters, perhaps. So yes, fine. Anything else at dusk? I don't think so.
I actually.
Oh yes, of course. It's the quickening.
Yeah, I have this here quickening curse.
You live with a curse that causes you to become a savage, even feral, to the point where your body physically changes. At the start of the dusk phase, roll with composure or sensitivity, your choice.
That was close. I got a 9 total.
7 to 9, you manage to keep the quickening in check, but just barely. Take the following condition: drained. So you are not just drained, but also not just wounded, but also now drained. Just tell us. We talked last time about how we saw you fighting it off. How does drained look when we see you in your quarters, perhaps as the sun sets?
I think that I've been up and moving about rather than resting as Moore instructed me to do, because what does he know? And I think when I get back to my room, we see me taking off my coat, and I'm bleeding from the side, like the wound is reopened. And as I touch down and sense the smell of blood, there is a kind of feral growling that comes from me, and I think I probably jam my fingers into the wound to kind of assert control over myself.
Oh yes, and that grimace of pain the sun sinking. We see it reflected in your pupils, and that feral growl, and then you're back. Thank you.
Yeah.
I like drained.
I have a dusk
yes,
move as well.
so you do. I keep forgetting.
Well, I just picked it up last time, so this is the first time we see it in action. Day work. You spend most days caring for Hargrave House, tidying up, managing accounts, answering callers. Each dusk phase, choose one. I either get to learn something interesting about an active threat or find something useful in the house. So I think people seem to have plenty of items unticked in their personal quarters. So I think I'll go for something interesting about the active threat. Ask the keeper any question you like. They will answer truthfully and completely, or in the form of a clue, their choice.
I want to explain the Mastermind is now an active threat for the sake of definitions.
But I think I will ask something about the Limehouse lurker. I think maybe as the sun goes down, I wonder if Moore has some psychic connection to this vampire based on his late kind of brush with the world of vampirism.
Okay. Oh yes. Let's see what I can do with that then. I think, yeah. What does it look like when Moore has a vision through someone else's eyes?
So I think maybe he is at the table just inside the front hall, going through post, and maybe putting that little gift box into a drawer for attention later. And we see like the low sun coming through the kind of the semicircle of stained glass which is above the door, and when that light when he shields his eyes from it or looks down, there's like a sudden shift in perspective of this other person looking at the ground, maybe a suspiciously similar pattern of carpeting or whatever.
Okay. And I think as you look down, I think not carpeting, I think perhaps bare boards. What you will see is fresh blood dripping down from a high place. It seems to be dripping from above the point of view down and splashing in slow motion. We see one of those nice kind of close-ups of a blood drop just hitting this wooden surface. And I will add that to the Limehouse lurker. Fresh blood dripping down from a high place. There we go. Make sure I've got it in the right place. I have. Okay. So so that's dusk moves done with. Let us paint Hargrave House. Let us find out more about Hargrave House. Bear with me all. I find that bit in the rules. Aha, here we go. Oh, this is, I think, appropriate. The dining room as Moore serves dinner. You don't take meals together often, but tonight is an exception. What's on the menu? Let me go first to Angel. What is the first course?
Oh, and is this Moore actually cooking the dinner, or is this whatever?
We never know.
Okay.
We never know. Moore simply appears with salvers of food, or is serving food from salvers on a sideboard in the dining room. Quite where it comes from, we never know, or we don't know yet.
Yeah, I suppose that we open with a bit of a kind of mysteriously out of season palate cleanser of like a ginger ice, like a kind of like shaved ice flavored with ginger. That, you know, we should not logically be available in London in late 19th century this time of year, but it is in Hargrave House.
Of course it is. Of course it is. What does the fish course look like, Marta? No, let me go to heads for the fish course.
So the fish course is a stuffed fish, which has been baked, and it's probably it's, you know, think of it as a large trout or river fish that's been you know, still has the scales on it and everything, but it's been cut and gutted and filleted, and then inside it has a mixture of you know, a sort of very intense mixture of, you know, capers and root vegetables and some you know, probably some shellfish, but, you know, not crab or lobster, but like more the more mollusks, I guess you would say. And that is served. Yeah, it is. And the head, of course, is when positioned, you know, staring with its, you know, guilt-ridden dead eyes at Angel, as though Moore knows that Angel has been up to something.
Like that. Marta, I have to come to you for the meat course.
Yeah. How about I don't know. I think of English, I just think of lamb for some reason. So there's we'll say Moore always seems to, every now and then he'll provide, you know, something that's just, we don't want to know where he got it because it's probably just too awesome, but this like huge rack of lamb that
Yeah.
And Martha just kind of smiles and nods to herself like, yeah, Moore still has it. He's still got it.
Fine, rack of lamb. And finally, Moore, what do you reveal for the dessert course?
I think it's something relatively light and understated. Maybe it's an amaretto dessert, you know, so some you know, almond flakes on top of the liqueur, just to add a little bit of extra, and I guess there's maybe a hint of coffee, you know, so some nice Greek style coffee with the heavy silt at the bottom.
That's delicious. Thank you.
This should be part of the game, right? We should have like a recipes of Hargrave House.
Yeah, you know, one of the follow-up supplements will be Mr. Moore's Directory of Perfect Cookery.
That advancement that lets you get any move you want, and you could just like take the cook's move from Alas for the Awful Sea that lets you cook meals for people.
Yes. Let us then run round and see what people's plans for tonight are. Now, I think that I started with Moore last time, so I'll start with Marta this time. Marta, what is your plan for tonight?
Well, I say let's knock out some of these threats.
Well, yeah, I'm going to let you do that before you get tonight. I'm going to have you do that in a dining room discussion. I just want to have some idea what you're thinking of doing next. Oh no, actually, no, you're quite right, because until we know where you get with those questions, it's unreasonable for me to ask. So that is
although I think
fair.
there is a crucial question, which is, in Hargrave's house, is it appropriate to discuss business over dinner?
Oh, I think normal social etiquette is suspended for Hargrave House. It certainly might not be appropriate to discuss it in front of the servants, and yet and yet more is always about. So I don't think we need to worry about the etiquette. Perhaps, you know, over the liqueur course after dessert. And now I'm in a quandary as to whether I should have described it as a dessert course or a pudding course. These things matter. So let's have that conversation. Let's have what the rules call a freewheeling conversation.
I mean, a dessert course is suspiciously French, though, isn't it?
It is, and that's why I wonder. But then that's perhaps why the amaretto was served. If I describe it as a pudding course, it may well have been spotted dick.
Yeah.
But so over drinks, as Moore goes around the table, serving a liqueur or after dinner drink of choice, let's have that open freewheeling discussion about the answer to a question. So shall we start with the creature of Cremorne Gardens? And the live question at the moment is it real? Is it real? Who wants to open up?
Yeah, I guess I'll start that.
What's your hypothesis, Marta? Is
Yeah.
it real or isn't it?
Well, as a character, or I'm sorry, as a player, the idea of it being a hoax, I think, is interesting because this is a supernatural world. And so even though it's a supernatural world, there are still, it's not everything supernatural, right?
I get that it would be nice if this turned out to be a mundane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I personally, that's where I'm heading. I'm curious if what the other people think.
Angel, what's your view of that? What's your starting point? Real or imagined, so to speak?
Yeah, I suppose that given what we've suppose given what we've heard, we have a set of. I suppose that I'd agree that it does appear to be some sort of hoax.
Well, let me pause you there then. So you're inclined towards hoax. I won't hold you to that, but you're inclined towards. Let me go to Hence. Hence, are you inclined towards if it's real? Is it real or isn't it real?
Oh, I mean, as essentially an outside observer who's hearing about this particular mystery just at this dinner, my sense on the subject is that the depths of malfeasance and error in man are such that one need not support the supernatural in order to create horror. And I do believe that this is a case of that manner.
That was some real nice words to say exactly what Martin and I were saying.
I am agreeing with you.
Thank you.
Mr. Moore.
Yeah, what they said. Although I might even hazard to suggest that this is not a hoax to drum up business, but a hoax to put Mr. Simpson out of business.
Well, the second question is, if not real, who perpetrates the hoax and why? So
we won't get ahead of ourselves.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. So let me go back and I think one way to do this is again to run round the table, having each of you now. So it seems to be we're seeking to support the idea that this is a hoax, and go to each of you in turn and ask you to propose one of the clues in support of it being a hoax and see where that takes us. Yes. So again, I think I started with Marta. So Marta, you have currently 8 clues. Is there one that you would like to put forward in support of it being a hoax?
Yeah. What we'll say is
Sorry, I need to be clear. It doesn't necessarily need to be explained. It doesn't need to be in support of the hoax. It just needs to be explained, either as part of the hoax or it has an explicable reason.
Yeah. We'll say in the stack of overdue bills, there is Thomas Simpson owes a lot of money to, let's see. Well, it's weird because there's, okay, how about this? I'll take this back. In the note breaking up the relationship, it mentions, oh, yeah, I'm just not feeling the vibe today for some reason. It's so we'll yeah. In the note breaking up the relationship, we'll talk about, it talks about Simon and Thomas Simpson, and she says, I can't believe you took me to that place, and I don't like what you and Thomas are connected with.
Fine. Okay. There. So there's one. Let me go to Angel. Angel, which of those 8 clues, or 7 now, do you wish to invoke or explain?
Well, I think that there's a certain suspicious quality to the fact that there are these oily fish scales left near all the attacks. I mean, certainly one would expect a sheden animal to leave behind bits of itself, but if this were these are fish scales. I don't believe that they just leave behind parts of their that they just shed all over the place. I think that whoever left them wanted very purposefully for folks to find them.
I see how that would absolutely be a false clue laid deliberately. Hence, where would you like to go next?
So it seems to me that there are really 2 pieces to this. So first, there were many reports of sightings and strangeness going on, and then there were a handful of attacks and more physical evidence, which has what brought this to our attention.
Although I think that like nobody has actually died in these attacks.
Oh no. Yes.
I just wanted to remind.
Well, I don't think anyone has died at all, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. It's in fact, no one's been even seriously injured except for their pride. It sounds. But what I'm getting at is, I wonder if there has been some perhaps doctoring of the. I wonder if someone has been, say, adding something to the drinks and some of the food available at Cremorne Gardens, and that has started the story, and then someone is taking malicious advantage of this story, so that perhaps, knowing that of course this drugging is going on, and then taking advantage of the stories that have arisen from it.
It's not leaping off the page.
And I'm referencing that first clue.
Reports of drunken disorderly activity have abounded later. Now I get it. Fine.
Right. As in, I think that suggests that that we don't need an explanation for everything people have seen, but the physical evidence, the physical instances should be what we focus on.
Okay. So that gives us 3 against a difficulty of 4. So, Mr. Moore, do you wish to add a clue, or do you want to go forward with a roll at -1?
Yeah, I think we could add a clue. I think the argument between 2 side characters is Beulah and Simon, right? If my memory
I'm very happy for it to be that. I mean, it's deliberately vague.
And I think this is building on the previous clue of the note, in that when maybe when Simon was confronted with this, he tried to bring in Beulah to support the story, but maybe he's not very good at briefing her, which is why the stories don't really match.
Okay, that works for me. So this takes you to a flat roll currently. Let me go round again and just ask whether you want to add another clue or whether you want to reserve those clues for the second question. So Marta, do you want to roll now, or do you want to get further into this and use up some more clues?
Let's see. Well,
I'm not asking which clue, just a decision on whether you want to get above a flat roll.
Well, let's just do a flat roll, because if we didn't, we couldn't do a flat roll for the next one. So let's just see what happens.
Okay. Angel, what about you? Are you inclined to go flat, or do you want to continue the conversation about which other clue could apply? Oh, I think you are muted.
Let me just see here to see if there's anything left that stands out to me in particular. I feel like a set of clothes hastily removed from an unusual place. I feel like that probably works better for this part of the mystery than it's going to be for the latter part. But maybe I'm fine leaving it there. I'm sure I'm fine rolling flat.
Okay, what about hence? Roll flat, or do you want to continue the conversation?
Yeah, I'm not, it is weird, because I feel like the mechanics for the two questions expect us to sort of do investigation in between answering both questions.
Oh, that's entirely up to you.
Right. Oh, I mean, it's just, so it seems a little weird to sort of try to go 1-2, which is maybe why we're in this sort of, why we're thinking about this way. But my feeling is let's roll the dice on this, and if I can be permitted to, if I'm actually intrigued by the prospect of missing this roll, because then that sort of confirms there is a creature in essence. I mean, not exactly, but it means that it strongly supports that idea.
Fine. No, I can work with that. And then finally, Mr. Moore, it sounds like that the tendency is towards rolling flat.
I'm good with that. I think Greg's argument at the very start kind of is quite strong.
Now, I think that both Hence and Marta have rolled to have taken responsibility for whether this goes well or not. Mr. Moore, because you are the social inferior, it seems to be entirely appropriate you should roll flat.
Yeah, I mean, I should definitely take the blame for this one.
There ought to be an advantage to taking the fall for your employer as well as handing the credit off to them.
Yeah. Well, I've done none of the latter, so maybe I shall look for.
I mean, the last time I rolled snake eyes.
That's true. That is true.
So you can.
Well,
yeah,
a 5 will suffice, guys.
So the choice is yours, because unlike the situation with Brindlewood Bay, it is possible to improve this by donning a mask, but you must each don the mask. So do you want to improve that, Mr. Moore? Let me start with you.
I would not be inclined, because, we still have one to go on this anyway. So, we're talking over brandy. So maybe we just decide that, no, it doesn't quite fit. So maybe it's not a hoax, right? So
and that then is when there is a hammering on the door, Mr. Moore.
Well, I shall have to answer it, won't I?
And there is Mr. Simpson. More! There's been a murder. There's a body in the river. Let us pause there. Therefore, I have, let me see, I've done this properly. On it, the answer is incorrect, and the keeper reacts. And I think that, therefore, I guess you've played that well, in as much as we must therefore treat this as it's real. However, you still have not formally answered the question, so you cannot yet resolve the threat. You need to prove that it's real. No, that can't make sense. That can't make sense. I'm going to mark that.
Well, we did theorize that there was this like broad conspiracy of like most of these supporting characters to create this fiction of the monster. That could be wrong while the monster is still a hoax.
Yeah.
Like like we sort of suggested that Simpson was being benefited by this. If he's the target, then that is not our theory.
Yeah.
So we could still, at least that's how it seems to work in other cases I've encountered this. So like, and
Alan, I would say like we can still prove it as a hoax, but just we need to combine the clues in a different way with a different story, right?
And what I'm uncertain about is this idea of reusing clues mechanically. That's the bit I'm not clear about.
When this happened in a Brindlewood Bay game, we did reuse them.
Fine, let's unmark those clues then, and we will treat this as, is it real or is it a hoax? But I am going to add a clue, which is my reaction, which is there's a body in the river, ... Yeah. Do we want to try and answer a question about the Limehouse lurker? Because there is no, I think, rule that says you are limited to the number of questions you could have a go at.
Yes, I would love to do that.
Okay, well, I think I'm trying to work out where I've got to. I think I am.
Fella at the door shouting about a murder, so maybe.
Which might take precedent over as.
Oh no, but we all have to get into a cab or get into a carriage and head down to the docks to see the body.
Exactly.
So while we're in there, we can have a conversation.
Into a pile of
let me again remind you that we are on a strict phased process here.
Yeah.
And dusk is a preparation for night, and night is where you make preferences, but I tell you what happens. So more, I think we see that, and that's probably where we should have. Actually, look, it's 10 to the hour. Let's have a commercial break with Thomas Simpson announcing there's a body in the river. That would seem appropriate. Should we be back in our seats at 5 to the hour? Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, I'll see you then. Give me time to think about it. So we're back after our final break with about an hour to play in this session, and the proprietor, Thomas Simpson of Cremorne Gardens, has banged on the door and told you that there's a body in the river. It's apparently been washed up at Cremorne Gardens, or found in the river at Cremorne Gardens. So I think the way to play this is to play it straight. Let me go round the table, starting, I think, where I started last time, which was with Hence. Hence, what do you want to use the night phase for? Because you could use it to investigate what Simpson has just told you, or you might have other plans.
So I'm going to be slightly repetitive, and I would like to use the beacon in the night. I will tag along with people as much as that allows. Because I think the more the merrier when we're attracting dark threats. So, more opportunities for more people to get conditions, yay, or some such. In any case, so that's my plan, is to sort of to attune and draw in the dark energies of the city.
Okay.
This evening.
Okay, so that's what Hence is planning to do. It seems probably appropriate I go to Moore after that to find out whether Moore is intending to accompany their employer, or wishes to do something else.
Yeah, I wonder, building on that, Mendel, if Moore, as kind of Simpson's friendly contact in the house, if Moore is going to accompany Simpson back to the gardens, and then maybe Hence does so as well, and they can walk along the river, or so you get a chance to trigger that move, and we're still in the scene together.
That works for me. Think about it, hence, because I'll be coming back round to see if anybody wants to revise their suggestion. Let's go to Marta next. No, sorry, Angel next. Angel, what would you like to do with the night?
Well, actually, let me see here where people are at. Yeah, I suppose that given where I'm at, I can I'm gonna give Miss Weiss some shootist lessons.
So Constance, because of course, is this indoors or outdoors, Angel? I will be the question I will be asking you.
I mean, we're gonna be going off to the roof of the house, but
right. So where everyone can hear you rather than in the basement. That's all I need to know. Marta, that's an invitation to you. But of course, you could have a desire for the night as well. I don't have a problem with each of you having a scene where you are the principal mover. Same goes for Moore and Hens, actually.
Yeah. How about I like the shooting lessons. She's definitely intrigued. What if we go to a graveyard and shoot? I don't know, bottles or. Yeah. I'll let Angel decide where we go, but Marta was thinking a graveyard.
Fine.
But Constance pick.
Okay. So Marta is agreeing to go with Constance for a shooting lesson in a graveyard. But what is that intended to be Marta's scene?
Yeah.
During the night.
Well, how about this child just seems like I have to shoehorn this thing in. But how about Marta is working in her lab when Angel comes down to
I was going to suggest that.
Okay. So we will finally get to see Marta in her lab. I think we're all keen to see that. And let me come back round then. So we know Hens is going to go down to the river with Simpson and Moore. It sounds like that is with the intention of opening their mind to the night. And Moore, you want to go with them, but you will have an opportunity to set a scene yourself down there. Is that okay? Okay. So let's begin then, I think, with we see Moore and Hens bundling Simpson into a cab and driving away into the darkness. Come back to you in a bit. And instead, we will go first to Marta Weiss. Marta, paint the scene for me. What do we see as we see your laboratory for the first time?
Yeah. So we'll say it's down in the basement, and a place that Marta always keeps locked. And it's something that I think no one's really imposed to ask what she's going on down there. They just kind of let her have her space. And so when you go inside, what we'll do is we'll actually see even more pressed flowers. We'll see the collection of flowers in a frame. So that's hanging out there. And we'll say you see these heavy glass jars with liquid. You see body and animal parts. So
I'm imagining large pickle jars with rats and other and organs. And maybe the camera pans across these and we see your face distorted as we see through each of them in turn.
Yes, I like that. And there's even, we'll say like animal heads or animal parts or preserved, we'll say, maybe some human skulls kind of thing, and almost just like knickknacks of biological creatures. And so, let's just go nuts. You know what I'm saying? And what you do is you see her getting things put together. You see her, she has these guts laid out on a floor or on a table. You see these two adult hands connected, and you'll see her taking bones and placing them, creating
an outline.
Yeah, creating a figure.
Okay,
and
let me pause you there because we've got a good view of the lab. I don't want to use it all up in one shot in case we need it next time. But I will now introduce the unseen. The unseen for tonight is Madame Morvaine's Boy Tour. Powdered princelings and delightful demagogues, all agape for your amusement, is the subtitle for this book. And we see this book being picked up. Madame Morvaine's famous guidebook is a walking tour of all the best boy whores in London. And we see ship's captain Jackson Flint Broadmoor picking this up as he goes ashore for a 3-day shore leave with this worn guidebook tucked under his arm. Let us go walking with him this night. So, let me start with Marta then, given that I'm about to ask her whether we want to see her doing anything in this lab that she's painted. Prince Louis, powdered, soft, covered in yards of satin and lace, invites Captain Flint into his boudoir. Paint the scene. What distinctly feminine touches do we see in Prince Louis's room, Marta?
All right. How about we see we'll see pink lilies.
I see pink lilies.
And we'll say you often don't see flowers, in these sorts of
No, I
places.
think pink lilies, and maybe it's pink. It's picked up in other other colors around the room. No, I'll go with that. Is there anything you want to do while you're in the lab, Marta? Or are you content just in a moment to be disturbed by Constance?
What she's going to do is she'll be, what will happen is she left the door unlocked and ajar. And so Constance will just walk right in. And
Fine.
what Marta is doing is she'll be talking to Hilda. She's talking to somebody who isn't there.
Okay.
And so she's talking to somebody, and talking to somebody who isn't there, and obviously, it's like on the phone. She pauses. She's like, "Oh well, that's a good point." That sort of thing.
I'm inclined to invoke a night move here, given that we know that Marta's engagement with the supernatural has kind of grown during our plot so far. So when you do something risky or face something you fear, so I think it is risky. You are invoking Hilda, this dead cousin of yours, in the presence of body parts. You are invoking it in Hargrave House, which we know is in some way unmoored from reality. Name what you're afraid will happen if you fail or lose your nerve. The keeper will tell you how it is worse than you fear. So what are you afraid of as you... It could be that you're afraid of being caught doing this. I don't know.
I think so is this what I'm afraid of, or Marta?
Yeah. What Marta is afraid of.
Oh, Marta's afraid of. Okay.
But, you can play this as meta as you like.
Yeah. How about Marta is afraid that she's becoming unhinged, right? So what it is, she has this interest and this scientific background, and she understands it's driven by actually there's an interesting side effect that I just thought of, but I'll write that somewhere else in case people care. she's driven her scientific research is driven by this hardcore emotional entanglement from her past. And she finds herself, this has led her off the scientific path. So is she going forward, or is she becoming unhinged?
And I think that this could be worse in as much as it could mean that you become suddenly uncertain of all those certainties that you rely upon, all those certificates, all that qualification, all that learning. To suddenly have that rug pulled out from under you could mean this turns nasty. So I'm going to give you choice of whether you think this is about composure or sensitivity or reason.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of so what is she trying to do? This is just something that happens to her. Is that correct?
Well, you're going to roll, and then we'll apply this. So, for instance, I might give you a condition called uncertain, suddenly uncertain.
Yeah. Well,
I am conscious that I'm never invoking conditions, but that's my error, not your law.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's interesting because, is she? All right. I initially saw this as she's trying to, make connection with this otherworldly being, so we'll say sensitivity.
Go for it.
I guess you could say, oh, well, is she being imposed upon and trying to keep her wits? But we'll just say this is her experiment.
Fine.
So, we'll do sensitivity. 5 + 2 is 7.
Woohoo! So 7 to 9, you do it or hold steady, but there is a complication or cost. The keeper describes what it looks like. I think that I'm going to keep this just narrative. Constance, we cut to your angle as the door is ajar, and you were expecting to have to knock on this door, which is the way you know it, but you cannot but peer through. And I think, Angel, that you think that Marta is unhinged. That's the complication. Yeah. But I'm not going to. I'm not going to make it a condition.
Did I not think that before?
You perhaps have that view confirmed. Yeah. So you have fictional positioning to play this any which way you like.
Yeah, I kind of come in and sort of awkwardly tap at like one of the pickle jars, and I think just to add to the flavor, I think we see it twitch a little bit inside the jar.
Yeah.
And I do think that I have a pink carnation in my hat. And I kind of it appears you're in the middle of something, Miss Weiss. I don't mean to intrude.
And she let's see. She looks at you. And she'll say, "It's okay. Hilda and I were just finishing up." And so I think what there is what's maybe the most shocking is Martha suddenly doesn't care that you walked in on this. That she is in some sort of completely unconscious of what this might look like.
Yeah, I kind of very I think probably given Weiss, I doubt that she picks up on how patronizing I'm being, but I kind of tip my hat at the absence in the room and say, well, I do apologize for pulling Miss Weiss away from you, but it's my concern, Miss Weiss, that I was injured recently and so unable to provide the necessary protection to you and the rest of our little club here. I wanted to take some time, perhaps give you some pointers in the finer arts of shooting a pistol, so that you might be able to defend yourself in the case needs be.
That sounds excellent. By chance, do you need all of your hair?
Uh,
And she gets a scissors. I just need a little bit here.
I suppose, yeah, sure. You can take a little.
Yeah, she's like, oh, Hilda, is this the part you want? Okay. And so she grabs some hair and then says, all right, I'm all ready to go. And then she goes like,
thank you. Let us cut to Cremorne Gardens. I'll start with Mr. Moore because I think we know what Hence is intending to do. But Moore, what Simpson is babbling all the way down about what effect this will have on his business. He's come to you. He hasn't gone to Scotland Yard. So Moore, what do we see you doing when all of you arrive at Cremorne Gardens, which of course is in full swing?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess the question Moore is trying to answer is, did this body wash up, or was it found on the shore, or why does Simpson think it's associated with the attacks?
Fine. Well, he's let's see, where has he hidden it? He's had the body moved to behind the banqueting hall, and so he will take you to the banqueting hall. Hence, I'm going to assume you're going to go with them at this point. I will give you a chance to set the scene for your particular move.
Yeah, I'll tag along.
And so, yeah, he takes you around the banqueting hall. And the banqueting hall, he takes you through the banqueting hall it's the quickest route. Waiters in well-tailored black livery, dazzlingly white tablecloths, stacks of fine crystal goblets next to enormous casks of wine more. You smell something savory and unctuous as you step inside. What is it you're smelling?
I think maybe it's a kind of a honeyed perfume that maybe due to our peculiar profession, we associate with embalming fluid or something like that.
Very nice, yes. Yes, quick flashback to last time you were in a morgue. And he leads you through some curtains at the back, through the kitchens, out to somewhere where he stores his cold meats. This brick building with huge blocks of ice. And there on the floor is a body. I'm assuming you're going to examine it more, but you tell me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll leave the real medical pronouncements to others, but I think I'm looking for wounds. Some of the attacks, we were unsure as to whether some wounds were made by like a steel or a claw. I can't remember what the clue was. So yeah, I think I'm looking for some kind of rending or in the flesh or the clothes. Okay.
I'm going to try from now on to remember that you all have conditions that I should be taking account of. So let's go to the information move. I think this is probably reason because you're studying this.
Sure.
I think that I am going to make you roll at disadvantage for blooded because I think that in this circumstance it is the distraction of that. It's where Hence cured you of the curse. I think there is still that it's still a wound and it's still itching and maybe weeping a little. So you're going to roll with disadvantage for this information move, unless you have something you want to apply to cancel that out.
No, I don't think so. I wonder if, like, you're reaching around a body and looking for blood, the exact circumstances of the attack on me Anne or on hence rather. And also maybe I'm starting to taste the blood rather impossibly in some kind of suggestive manner.
Yeah, do you let out like a little involuntary like growl or something when...
Yeah. And I think maybe someone else onlooking, maybe Simpson, thinks it's the kind of effort of turning the body or moving it up, but I think hence knows exactly what's at the heart of it. I'm assuming that I've kind of told the story of this kind of vision I got at the breaking of dusk.
Yes. So information move, roll, off you go.
Disadvantage. Oh, well, look at that. That's a 10. Sorry, Alan.
Wow.
I rolled a 6, a 5, and a 4.
Well, you know, I can't complain because you did roll some crap dice last time.
Yeah.
So on a 10 plus, you get the clue, and I'm going to... It is not... The cause of death is not clear to you. There is no obvious claw, you know, disemboweling or anything like that. But as you look over the body, I'm going to give you a piece of scrimshaw. That's ivory, whale ivory, whalebone, and it shows a design. And I think we'll see your. Oh, hang on, that's the wrong one. There it is. I think we will see your finger rubbing over this scrimshaw. A piece of scrimshaw depicting a fish-like man rising from the water. And I will add that to your clues for the creature of Cremorne Gardens. There we go.
Also, I just realized we never really did a unseen between.
Oh, we didn't. Thank you for the reminder. Let me go more to Anthony the Adonis. We cut to Anthony the Adonis, whose body is rubbed with golden powder. Paint the scene. What do we see in his room that lets us know that Anthony is dying of consumption?
I mean, I think I think there's a small little cupboard hidden in the corner underneath a blanket, and inside there are, various medicines, various prescriptions for what you would take for consumption. But I think we see industrial scale amounts of gold infused water. And in typical Victorian fashion, or maybe from an earlier Renaissance remedy, he has been imbibing this gold water as a cure or some kind of means to immortality.
Thank you. Let's go now to Hence, and I will this time remember to do the unseen first. Hence. Let us cut to Gianni, the Italian temple. Olive-skinned, breathtaking. What do we see that lets us know Gianni is having the time of his life?
I think that Gianni, when he accepts the captain into his room, is probably perusing a series of letters and calling cards that he has bundled up in a drawer and sort of, shoves that back in there when the door opens. The invitations to all sorts of events, shall we say.
Fine. Great. I like that. And Hence, you told us that you were very keen to open your mind to London, to be a beacon in the dark. When you walk the streets of London at night, your consciousness spreading across the city like a vast spider web. Roll with sensitivity to see what happens next. And I'm seeing you down by the river now where the body was spotted.
Yes, I feel like I have neglected this particular mystery, and so I shall attempt to force something to happen.
Roll with sensitivity, which is +2, I think. Six and 8. Remember, you can always improve these rolls with a mask, but that is an 8. On a hit. Oh, well, do you want me to tell you what happens
the
first?
problem? Yes, the problem is. Oh yeah. Okay, Tess, go ahead. Tell me.
So on a hit, you're immediately confronted by a threat or a personified danger related to the threat. I think I will have you confronted by a threat. I think you are confronted. Oh, no. I'm going to have you confronted by. I'm going to have you confronted by a threat. I'm going to have you confronted as strong arms loop around you. Yeah? What else do I do on a hit? Immediately confronted by a threat or personified danger. You may ask them 2 questions from the list below, and then perhaps Mr. Moore will emerge from the darkness. I don't know.
Okay.
But 2 enormously strong arms wrap round you and begin to crush you, hence.
And I guess I can ask the questions and we can get to there, and then I can decide to put on a mask depending on the not leaving immediately element of this. Or, yes. Okay.
Well, what it says is they will not answer it directly, but rather in the form of a clue.
Right.
And then you can decide whether you want it to depart immediately or not.
Right. Okay.
Yeah?
So I will pick my questions.
Mm-hmm.
So I think my first question is, what do you want from, it's Thomas, right?
Thomas Simpson, yes.
Yes. That seems more pertinent than what you want from me.
Okay. And I think that as you struggle with this and ask, what do you want with him? What do you want with Simpson? I think that we will see you kind of turned round towards perhaps the window of the banqueting hall. So we get a reflection. And because this is only available if you are most beloved. So I am going to give you the clue, which is we see you reflected, and in the darkness behind you, we are going to see Cremorne Gardens. Here we go. Large glowing eyes peering at the hunter from the darkness. So you see we see the reflection. It is only available if the hunter is most beloved. So that seems appropriate to you, hence. And it whispers, peace. It lisps, peace. What is the second question you want to ask? Because you're allowed a second question, I think.
Yes.
What is the second question?
I think my second question will be, how can I get you to leave people alone?
Okay, what can I give you for that one as a clue? And I think as we look in that reflection, we know you have this peculiar eye. that is sometimes behind the hat. And as you turn to try to look at the creature behind you that we can see the reflection of, all of this then is played out in the reflection. We see you look, and we focus on your eye, and then jump cut to its eye, back, and between them, we see a large, flawless pearl. I'm going to put a large, flawless pearl into play, or a vision of it. It seems appropriately supernatural to have a large, flawless pearl in a vision shared by you and this creature. Mr. Moore, there is a shadowy figure clutching your employer, gripping your employer. Oh, no, sorry, hence, do you wish to have this depart, having answered your questions, in which case you must don a mask?
Yeah, and I think I actually will.
Okay.
I feel like that's the narratively right thing to happen here.
Fine.
Like it just feels better. So I'm deciding which mask.
Yeah. We've used, there is a collective mask in place, just so you know, for the Limehouse lurker.
Okay. Right. You know what? I actually kind of like. Well, I haven't used a lot of my past masks yet, so I think I ought to use at least some of those. Okay, so narrate a flashback to your childhood that shows the first time you encountered a dark entity.
Please do.
It's so I think that it's Hence is a very young child. It's in that same manner, but even even younger than that ghost story flashback. And there is this creeping, clearly inhumanly limbed, clawed monstrosity that sort of in the darkness is climbing through an open window and into the room, and it's clutching something, and it looms out over Hence and places something in the bed with them, and then scutters away. And Hence, we see all this time that Hence's eyes are which are at this point not tremendously misshapen, is sort of gazing out through narrow lids, freezing but not not willing to appear not asleep. And the item is a small music box, which has actually been left to play. And it plays an eerie, resonating tune that some reason just feels appropriate, or feels like it's brought back by this encounter with this glowing-eyed entity.
Thank you for that. And then it's gone into the night, and I think more you emerge from where you've been examining the body. The light from inside falls on Hence and this shadowed creature, and it's gone into the night. Let us cut to Highgate Cemetery. Has to be Highgate Cemetery. Tombs, Gothic statues in the night. Probably not quite as overgrown as it is today, but in its pomp. So, Constance, frame the scene for me. What are we seeing as you give Marta some shooting clues, some shooting instruction?
I mean, I think it's like one of those stereotypical like teaching scenes where like I'm like like right behind Marta, instructing her in like the proper stance, and like I have like she's pressed up against I'm pressed up against her back as I'm instructing her through this, and
let me not forget my unseen, because I almost did.
Yeah.
Thomas, a rather plain young man, barely a man really, who is clean and able. Paint the scene, please, Constance. What do we see that lets us know Thomas is in this part of London, plying his trade against his will?
I think that well, this is a little bit graphic, but I'm just thinking back to the Canes. I think that that like one of the because like the origin of like of the pimp cane is that like they would actually go around and break kneecaps of people who try to like flee the life, and so I think that we see the local pimp walking down the street with the cane, and he gives Thomas a glance, and Thomas looks down at the street away from him, and we know that he has like Thomas's family is deep in debt to him.
And as the pimp walks on down the cobble, he drags the cane behind him, so it goes clack 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 clack. Thank you. I like that. I like that a lot. And then, how does this turn into an intimate moment, Angel? Because I guess you're aiming to trigger the vulnerable move here.
Yeah. Well, I think besides the physical intimacy, I think that I sort of am starting out with kind of like showing her through like, well, now you don't want to I understand that a lot of you educated city folk like to think that it's just a matter of pointing and shooting, but it's important that anytime you aim the gun, you need to be ready to look something straight in the eye and be ready to kill it. And I'm maybe a little bit intense about that, I think that there's definitely a tension there. Like I am definitely more or less implying that is a position I've been in before, and I kind of look at you. So what exactly are you working on in that lab back there, Miss Weiss? I can't really claim to understand much about the fields of scientific study, but I've always considered myself a bit of an amateur in keeping up on all the modern news of the day.
Oh, well, my research back in Germany was about the origins of life. And we know that life can be birthed, from parents, but can life be birthed in other ways as well?
Yeah, well, it is. I think the tragedy of the human condition that dying is quite easy, but being born that is a great difficulty for folks.
Oh yes, exactly. Oh yeah, you totally get this, Constance.
Yeah, and I think that as like we're like shooting, I think I like let down a twang, and there's like I get like a pain, and like I like look down at my side, and like my wound has opened up again, and I go, ah, shit, and I kind of take out a handkerchief and press it to my wound.
And Marta will immediately have you lie down and start dressing it.
I'm sorry about this, Miss Weiss. I prefer to handle these things myself, exactly because I don't like bothering other folks about it.
Have you been educated in the finest institutions of Germany on surgery?
I mean, no, but
I think I got this.
And I think that as you like are seeing to the wound and you like press your hands to it, I think that there's like a feral growl from me. And then like, even though I was just in pain before, I think I like tumble you over, and there's almost a glint of something bestial in my eye. And then I like lean down and kiss you.
All right.
Can I just
I'm officially freaked out, but that's pretty awesome.
Well, I think that's delightful. And then we fade to black.
Yeah, I was going to fade to black there.
Yeah.
But then we fade back from black. Just before we get to finish the move, Marta, as you go back to dressing the wound, how does the audience know that you are currently ghoulish?
Well, how about, we see some like blood like on the corner of her mouth. And we're like, how did that get there?
No problem. And she just wipes it away with a handkerchief.
Yeah.
I'm much more like it's just going really into the ghoulish creep factor. Like, is it even like a little slightly sexual, like tongue darts out of your mouth and like licks it off?
Oh God. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Let's do it.
I'd like that because I wanted to see some ghoulish before we clear the condition because you have now triggered the vulnerable move. So each of you clears a condition. Take your pick, Constance. Do you want to clear wounded? It sounded like you were angling for that, but or would you prefer?
I'm clearing wounded.
Fine. And I think Marta, you've satisfied your ghoulish tastes for the moment. But if it is your vice, you can also, Constance, stumble on a clue, tell the keeper what it is. The clue cannot conclusively answer a question by itself, or invite the other hunter to ask you about your past. You must answer truthfully, but not necessarily completely.
Yeah, I'll invite the other hunter to ask about my past.
What do you want to know, Marta?
I would say she so what? Constance has come over here against her family's wishes. She came from this rich family and you came here for adventure, or what was that again? Oh, muted.
I actually went adventuring across the American West as part of my questions. I went adventuring across the American West for a while, and then I am here for mysterious reasons.
Okay. Do you want to open up about those reasons? Or actually, I'm going to ask you. We'll see what you say. I'm going to ask you. We'll say, Hargrave House is a crazy place, and England is a bit weird as well. Wouldn't you agree? What brings you all the way over here?
Well, it's not something I talk about much, Miss Weiss, but as I was saying before, sometimes you need to make the decision to end a life, whether folks around you agree it's one that should be ended or not. There are worse folks in this world than some of the creatures that we deal with here in the house. And well, I made a decision, and I'm gonna have to live with that decision. That's why I came over here. Things weren't exactly friendly to me back in the States as a result.
Well, maybe one day Germany can be a haven for you as well.
I suppose. I would. I don't exactly understand your lingo, so to speak, though.
Now I'm going to move on to Dawn, but I'm not sure I'm obliged to run straight through dawn, in as much as I don't think it says anywhere where you can have your answer a question move. So I am content to move to dawn and breakfast again. Do you want to have another crack at a question, or a crack at more than one question? I think I started with hence last time, so I'm going to go round to Angel. In effect, what I'm trying to do is to give you a chance to crack a question before we do the dawn questions, the experience phase, I guess.
Okay, I see. I was wondering why we were right, but now I get what you're saying.
Yeah, because we've used up night, I guess.
Yeah, let me see here. How are we on some of these questions? Yeah, I suppose that I'm not really well, I suppose that, like, actually I look over to given that we have some new new discussion there. Now, Mr. Moore, did you hear anything about what did you find out about this body in the river? Certainly it speaks to things being rather more of a hoax, or if it is a hoax, these folks are clearly sink into new depths here, so to speak. I mean, the body, I assume, was floating on the river.
Well, I think you're absolutely right, Miss O'Neill. But more than that, I think we had an encounter with something very strange and completely confounding our thoughts that it was a hoax. Perhaps hence might comment more completely on that matter, given it was they who was grappling with the creature when I laid eyes on it.
Well, I cannot rule out the possibility that the attack that those young lovers had was a hoax. There is definitely some creature.
Okay, I've just marked there's a body in the river and large glowing eyes peering at the hunter. Moore, do you want to put your 2 pence worth?
Sorry, so, I mean, going on from that, I will pull out that piece of scrimshaw, and we found this on the body that was recovered from the river, and I think it speaks to perhaps a conspiracy, some knowledge of this fish creature with the glowing eyes.
Further thought on that, because I know I brought up before that the scales seem to indicate to me that it was a hoax, but what if perhaps whatever this creature is, it's not always a fish creature? Perhaps it's shifting back and forth between something more or less human and something fishy and aquatic. It would explain why both we found the oily fish scales and we found and there was a set of clothes hastily removed. Like it needed to get some clothes fast, otherwise it would end up buck naked and human. And while it is Cremorne Gardens, there's still indecency charges.
What is a murder charge besides indecent exposure? It's a very peculiar comment. I hadn't thought of the prospect of someone changing between beast and man.
Yeah, I wonder why Angel thought of that. I've just marked oily fish scales and a set of clothes, so I think we are now +1. Marta, do you want to put anything in the pot, or are you content at +1? I think you might be muted.
Yeah, thank you. You know, honestly, I've kind of lost track of this one, so I'll let other people decide.
Okay, so hence, do you want to put anything more in the pot?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I don't know why I answered. Hence is not my name. Go ahead.
Okay. So I like. I think I will have ask whoever heard the unusual song. I think someone heard a girl singing an unusual song some last night. Not
Was that me?
the
I
night
think
It
that
was.
might have been me.
I think
Right.
it was. I know it
that,
was. No, I think it was Angel, wasn't it? Wasn't it? Oh no, Angel.
I also heard a song, but I
Yeah.
don't think I got a clue out of it.
No,
Okay.
I think you're right.
Right. And that when I ask more to elaborate, I feel like that suggests that it is an old song that harkens back to a legend of to sort of the original darker stories behind the Selkie.
Okay, so I have marked as 6 clues, explained or included. I think that I can't remember who rolled the last dice.
It was my shockingly bad roll.
Okay, so Marta, though you are ostensibly standing outside this, I'm gonna put the dice in your hands with +2. You are muted, by the way.
Yep, sounds good. +2. 7 + 2 is a 9.
Is a 9. So on a 9, I can tell you that there's a complication either with, as above, it is the correct solution or an opportunity can be pursued. So I am going to tell you that it does appear to be real, but the keeper will add an unwelcome complication to the answer, and or pursuing the opportunity will be more dangerous. And I'm inclined to say that I think next time it will be there will be a complication which may turn out to be more dangerous. So when you try to resolve when you try to take advantage of the next opportunity, it could turn nasty with a complication. So let me mark that threat as resolved. I'm going to cross out, if not real, who perpetrated the hoax. If it is real, what does the creature want? Resolve the threat by luring the creature to you, then destroying it or convincing it to go back wherever it came from. Your choice. So that is the question that we will deal with conceivably at daytime tomorrow, after we finish the rest of Dawn. But I do want to give you an opportunity to also discuss the Limehouse lurker if you wish to. Let me start this one with Marta, because I think, Marta, you feel you got more skin in this game, or more in touch with this one. The first question to answer, is the vampire young or old? Complexity is 4. You currently have 11 clues.
So yeah, and so this could be, is it not turned at a young or old age, but is this vampire new to being a vampire, I assume?
We could play it either way.
Okay. Well, yeah, let's do it that way. Is this how the level of experience of being a vampire kind of thing?
Fine.
Yeah, and so we'll say that, let me see, I'm gonna go through these real quick.
I will warn you that the difficulty of resolving the threat is greater if it's old. Because the question you would get access to is, if it's old, where is the vampire's nest? Resolve the threat by infiltrating its nest and then destroying it or convincing it to leave London. If it's young, resolve the threat by luring the vampire into a scene reminiscent of its home life and then destroying it or making arrangement for it to be safely fed on a regular basis. I will also remind you that next week is our finale. So if you wanted our finale to involve infiltrating a vampire nest, that would be entirely fine too.
Gotcha.
So Alan, just looking at the kind of setup for those two questions, the text for both of those says complexity 4, but the cell
Oh, that's
On the
true.
right says
Yeah, I
6
think
or 8.
that's just the default values for that cell.
Let me just check. It could indeed be a typo on my part. Let me just ask. They are all 4.
Okay, so they are the
I,
same.
so I,
So I think
I
it's just
haven't
the
edited
templates.
those. Yeah,
The
that should
template
be 4, 4,
defaults
and 4.
to
Yeah,
6,
yeah,
8. Yeah.
All right, let me see here something. Okay, what
So
we'll
it's
do,
entirely to taste then.
yeah, we'll say it is old, or yeah, it's old, and one of that is a side character claims to have seen something supernatural, a great gathering of dogs and wolves. So
Okay.
this vampire, right? They have influence, right? They can kind of, humans can bend to their will and stuff. So this one has gathered quite a collection of support.
Okay.
But I think what would be interesting is this vampire obviously has interest in dogs and wolves as opposed to humans.
Okay.
To serve them.
Okay. Yeah. So let me go to Hence. Would you like to put one of these clues to work?
I like the yes. I like the idea of the wooden toy, the Viking ship.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of and that it, especially if it's like a looks like it's a toy that was crudely made, as though resembling a toy from long ago.
Yeah. Yes. Maybe this vampire's been around a very long time. Okay, I like that. Let's move around to Angel.
Yeah, and looking through here because I was not here for most of these clues, so I'm
I
just
get
gonna
that.
open them now. I think that I think that clearly the etching implies that this creature has been around for a long time, or at least is perhaps not even from a world that we would recognize. Whether it, I think that definitely implies something peculiar there. And we are choosing here that the vampire is old.
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, there are stories of Norse myth that describe other worlds that dangle upon a great ash tree. So it is quite possible that that references such a place. In which case, perhaps this child was involved in the construction of the workhouse in the first place, since that etching comes from the blueprints of that workhouse.
Let's move along to, let me think, I've got as far as Moore.
Yeah, and I think if we're establishing maybe that, this vampire is, 1,000 or even more years old, then perhaps due to its age, it can really brook no contact with sunlight. And so the deep subterranean place is exactly where we would expect to find such an old vampire.
I think that would work. So we're breaking even. Let me go round again. Marta, do you want to roll flat or do you want to spend some more?
No, we'll spend some more. What we'll say, and then we'll let's see, where's the vampire's nest? So what we have is, old with a lot of power, wooden toy from long ago, and sons from another world. How about,
I have a thought.
yeah, what you got?
I'm thinking we can explain away the small bite marks by also bringing in the thick swarm of bats. Perhaps that in Marta's analysis, it's nothing like a human mouth that's biting these folks. it's rather a bunch of tiny like marks from back bites.
Cool. No, I think we can use that. What I'm going to add is a drunkard claims small childlike voice from the shadows has been castivating them. And what it is it's in a language they don't understand. So we'll say it's in a very ancient,
Yeah, that works for me.
Ancient language.
That works for me. So we're at +1. Hence, do you want to put 1 in the pot or do you want to roll at +1?
Oh, I was going to suggest that the existence of the passageway, hallway, or thoroughfare that has been made unreachable by the sun, that suggests that it was by design. So that that further suggests that this vampire has created their own haven through years of planning.
Angel, roll at +2, or do you want to go for +3?
No, I'll roll with +2.
Okay, and I think it is your turn to roll, actually. So round you go.
And that is an 11.
Oh, well, that's very solid. Congratulations. So on 11, you successfully unlock the next appropriate question. So I'm going to get rid of if it's young, it's if it is old, where is the vampire's nest? So the next question you have to ask, you have to track it down and infiltrate it. And do you get any more benefit than that? You do not. That is, if we could have a couple of minutes just for stars and wishes, I'd be grateful. But yeah, so we are set up to find a vampire and also conceivably lure a half-fish creature from the depths for next time. So let me go. I want to finish Dawn if I can, and then maybe drag some time out of you for stars and wishes. So it is Dawn, and rewards if a threat has been revolved. Okay, let's go back to your questions. So the first 3 questions are the same for everyone. Did you answer a question? Yes, you did. So I don't think this per question, so everyone gets an XP for answering a question. You have not resolved a threat yet. Did you experience an echo in the night? Angel, can you relate anything that's happened since you last played that related to an echo in our night with our male prostitutes?
Yeah, that was why I had the pink carnation in my hat.
I thought so. So that gives you a 2 of 3. Let me go to Moore. An echo in the night?
I think there was, but one that came after in my scene.
That's fine.
Yeah, so there was the kind of manhandling of a body wounded, and then recalling my own wounds that fit the scene Stephen gave us with the young prostitute. That
works for me. So that gives you 2 XP at this point. Marta, an echo in the night?
No.
Okay, so 1 for you so far. And finally, Hence, an echo in the night?
It's up to you whether or not the grappling constitutes.
I think that constitutes. My guidance in the GM guide is I should cut you a lot of slack. So that's 2 XP so far. Then we go to our specific questions. Let me go back the other way. Did you counsel someone using your supernatural abilities on the basis for that advice, Hence?
I would argue that was what I said in the first Theorize at Dinner. Was counseling based on my supernatural experience.
Okay, so that's another XP for you. And did you have a face-to-face encounter with a dark entity? I think I'm going to count the whatever it was at Cremorne Gardens as a dark entity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that is 4 out of 5 for you, I think. Marta, did you put your hands in a pile of guts and love every moment of it? Yes, you did. We saw guts, we saw limbs, we saw stuff.
Or it was Constance. So take your pick.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Did you show physical affection towards the child while someone else was looking? Yes, you did. You set up that rather nicely. I didn't spot that one. Moore, did you exchange Did you engage in a petty reprisal of someone who angered your employer? I must set up someone to get angry at your employer.
I mean, no one has angered Hence. They are the epitome of self-restraint.
They are. Too ethereal to get angry.
Which is
Did
fine.
You subtly express sexual desire for your employer in a way you dressed them or served them.
I ticked this because to remind myself from last week when we had the scene testing the bites. When laid lips on her on their arm.
Did. Thank you for that reminder. I would have forgotten. So I'll give you another XP for that. And finally, Angel, did you use violence to solve a problem? This is since your last time, so I think we can argue that the Pinkerton falls into that, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And did you have raw, passionate sexual encounter during which your feral nature manifested? Oh, yes, you did. I think these flags are working quite well, actually. So give yourself an advance if that's appropriate. Mark which one it is, and make that choice between now and next time. Thank you for your patience. I would, as I say, like a quick stars and wishes. Let me start over there. Stephen, any stars? It was good to have you back, by the way. Really missed you last time.
Yeah, stars too. I mean, I love the whole, like, wandering out and meeting, and just hence meeting up with a fish person and all that. Just Marta's weirdness. I also just... it was just fun to play off of. Man, I think that should be an XP trigger for just Constance specifically. Is did you pick up any new gossip on Mr. Moore?
No, you're just doing that for the sheer enjoyment of it.
Yeah.
I mean, there is an XP trigger, isn't there? Did you behave inappropriately or something like that, or behave like an American in English society? Asking difficult questions about people is certainly not in keeping with the British way of life.
Yeah.
So maybe if you want to flag that one for next time. And of course, folks, you do have a chance to change the two questions.
Yeah.
Great. A wish for next time? For our finale?
Yeah, I guess I'll just flag it because like either way it sounds like we're going to come up against something kind of animalistic. Either the vampires, minions, or these fish things. So I just picked up the Awakened Soul. So I just wanted to give you the heads up that I'll be asking, like, what does animal want me to do to animals in the future? Wishes, yeah, I guess I do want to take a moment with Moore to bring up Moore's past with him. Just because I don't know. I guess this just really interests Constance. I mean, he's such a stick in the mud. I mean, there must be something interesting about this man, other than like one to, I don't know, bizarrely wait upon this person they work for.
He
Get
is
some
a mystery.
Strange gratification from that.
He is an enigma wrapped in a mystery, is Moore. Talking of which, Donna, any stars, any wishes?
Yeah, to follow on from that, yeah, I love this scene where Constance is like pressing for details, you know, ignoring the whole mystery in this opium den. But give me the dish the dirt, damn it, you know, which is very cool. And yeah, I really like this scene that Constance and Martha shared in the graveyard. You know, let's do shooting practice where there's loads of dead bodies. I mean, like a perfect matching for the two of you.
That leads to sex.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, how else could it end?
Exactly. You know, what are those tombstones for?
Yeah. And then, yeah, I think I would. I guess this is maybe getting a little bit more into wishes, but I guess we need to see some of us unwind a little bit. Maybe maybe take a break to find out a little bit more about Hence and Moore's history together. But yeah.
This series is all about Moore. In some, that's its subtitle. The Between, more about Moore. Moving along. Greg, any stars, any wishes?
Yeah, totally dug the constant scene. That was very, and I'm glad that the mother was finally I was able to work in that she did stuff with the child. I think the mother playbook, hard for me to really wrap my head around it because all this child stuff definitely seems a little orthogonal to most of the stuff. So that's been a little weird. But yeah, I've loved seeing more and Hence characters flesh out. That's been a lot of fun to watch. Yeah, as far as wishes, it's interesting. I think really the only wish is my experience of the system is it's almost like too many riches, an embarrassment of riches, to the extent that I feel the game's playing me slightly more than I'm playing the game. I think there's a lot of cool stuff, but and I think the example would be I feel like there was very regimented, like for I forget your game we played last month, where we took some time to set it up, and then the second half was more free flowing.
Mm-hmm.
This seems like everything's prescribed the whole session, which for me just feels a little, I don't know. Yeah, like the game's playing me a little bit, but no, okay. I think the system has a lot of cool stuff in it as far as the flags, the unseen is pretty awesome. So,
yeah, I mean, I'll put my wish in here. I mean, the advice in the rules is that day should be kind of most of the time, and that night should be very sharp. And I'm not certain that I'm playing night sharp enough. I'll be honest with you.
Gotcha.
I think it's frame, act, roll, move on. And
gotcha.
I think it's my own inclination to let you express in night. Maybe I'm making more of night than I should be. Let's move on to who's left. Oh, Mendel. Mendel, any stars, any wishes?
All right. So stars, I'm really enjoying Moore's digging into going out there and being sort of this very this international man of mystery, as it were, or sorry, very British man of mystery. And I've been enjoying some of that, especially I'm enjoying the clue descriptions coming from you, Alan. So, I do like the sort of the individual creepiness and romantic building with Constance and Martha as well. So that's all been very fun.
Yeah, I think the actors are pitching for their own follow-up series, actually.
Yes, I definitely think so.
Yeah, talk about hogging the scene sometime. I mean, it's.
Yeah, I am trying to. There are so many threads. I am trying to figure out how we're gonna get to a nice tie-up, not even a full tie-up, but get to a good conclusion the next session. And I'm hoping that is something we can figure out. We may have to step a little out of have a little metagame discussion on that at some point next session.
I mean, there is no reason, of course, why you cannot all spend night together doing something. So I think that if I suppose my thinking at the moment is that we will try, I think, to tie up the Cremorne Gardens situation during using the day period. And then maybe try to tie up the vampire situation with some night moves is what I'm currently thinking. But whether we end up there or not, I don't know. It has occurred to me just before I leave this, Greg, have you added your piece of body from the grave robbers?
Oh, no, I have not. We did.
And you also ask another hunter what the grave robbers found and add it to your personal quarters. So
All right.
I can't. Can we do that now? Because I will forget.
Yeah. Moore, did you do the walking stick last time?
Yeah, I think I did the walking
Okay.
stick this time.
Well, let's do hence.
What did the grave robbers find, hence, that will end up in Marta's personal quarters?
I think that they found a yeah, I think that they found a necklace of silver and mother of pearl. And since it has some distinctive markings to it, it's not something that they felt they could safely sell on their own. So that's why they're giving it to you.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And don't forget, folks, you also have the move that you got after the first session, after the first mystery, the one that allows you to contact a ghost in some building. I will remind you of that, that you have that. Angel, again, forgive me, you weren't here, but I do owe you a reward from the first mystery from St. James Street. If you go down the bottom of the St. James Street mystery, you will find that there are rewards. There are currently 2 remaining. A jar of ectoplasm for you to add to your personal quarters, or a memento from the investigation. Ask another hunter what it is, and then add it to your personal quarters.
Yeah, I think I'll take the memento.
So so who do you want to ask what it is?
I'll ask Moore. Sure.
Moore, what do you want hence to have brought home from St. James's Street for Constance?
Yeah, I'm trying to cast my mind back to that house and what we could have seen.
I mean, it can be literally anything.
Yeah. I think maybe Moore picked up a letter opener from that bureau. But particularly what metal it's made of. It depends on what creature you're trying to kill. Maybe it's silver, right?
Okay. Angel, you have a metal letter opener, or a metal undefined. Is that okay?
I don't know. I think silver is a little bit more flavorful as an item.
Okay.
It gives me more to think about.
Indeed, it does. My wishes, I think I want another 4 or 5 sessions, folks, at this point, because it does seem to me that we have a whole mastermind thing going on that so far I've not managed to create any space to have you even discuss.
We have a party to go to.
Yeah, sadly, the night after the next one. So that will be in session 6 if we ever get one. But no, my wishes are just more of the same, folks. I think you're creating a great atmosphere, and I'm beginning to enjoy the flow. I'm getting more relaxed with it. So thank you for your support.
One thing I keep forgetting to bring up. I think that in terms of the design of this character sheet, I think that the column for the American is just way too dark. It's very difficult, unless you put it into contrast mode. Even the regular text is a little bit hard to read, and I think that if you put it into contrast mode, the gray text completely disappears.
Yeah. I hadn't noticed that. I'll pass it on to Drew. So I thank you. I'm going to stop the recording there.